Guten Tag, I'm Patrycja Wojtkowiak from Websites and TV. Every language has its own quirks, and if you're ever trying to learn German, you will have been challenged by its long words and complex grammar rules. While many would argue that it's what makes the language interesting and unique, it can make conducting SEO on German websites tricky and challenging. Today, I'm speaking to Jens Kuhn, a native German speaker and an SEO specialist, to find out more about how the German language impacts on SEO. Jens, German is full of compound nouns, but what exactly are compound nouns?
Compound nouns are nouns which are made up of other words, other nouns, or sometimes even nouns, adjectives, or verbs. Most languages have them, at least the Latin European languages have them. In English, compound nouns are normally just words written after each other, but in German, words are constructed into long chains of words, which is just one word in the end.
And can you tell us, how do compound nouns make things complicated for German SEO?
Well, there are two aspects to it. The first is, how do users actually search for these terms? Quite often German users don't search for the actual long compound. They split it up and search for bits of it. It's also a problem for the search engine itself, because if you have a compound noun, something like primary school teacher in English, Google, the machine, the computer will have no big trouble finding out which the compounds are. You have primary, you have school, and you have teacher. In German, it will be one long word. So for the computer, it's just a chain of letters. So the search engine needs to find out whether this is actually one word or whether it's a compound noun made up of several parts.
Now, do Google search results differ if you use the compound noun versus the split compound? If so, how?
Well, the search result page normally shows about, for compound nouns which are made up from two components, it shows up to 80% exactly the same results. This didn't used to be like this. Google had much more trouble with this earlier, and recent updates have improved this a lot. Even for compound nouns consisting of 3 bits or 3 compounds, the search results are still identical up to 70%. And of these search results, about a third are even on exactly the same ranking position. But all of these will still be the same on the first 10, even if the order can vary sometimes.
Now, so which form would you recommend people target for German SEO? Compound nouns or split?
I would recommend to, in the first place, obviously target the grammatically correct compound. Depending on search volume, sometimes the split compounds can have higher search volume or more frequently quite considerable search volume which you don't want to miss. So while you can target these in your keyword map, you would normally still use the grammatically correct compound when you do the actual on-page optimization, because that's what the user sees, and the grammatically correct one should always be used. You will then sort of rely on Google finding the right term here and showing the user the same search results pages. But obviously, for more complicated, really long compounds, it makes sense to simply test. If you just put it into the Google search box and see what comes up in the split form and the non-split form, and if you see that the search results are very different, or that if you search for the split compound, no result on the SERP will actually be the correct compound, then I wouldn't target that keyword in its split form. So it can depend, obviously, for more complicated ones, just do a test. Otherwise, I would just rely on the search engine being smart enough to understand the compound noun.